Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle, getting out there, adventuring in the outdoors. I know it's been a little bit since I've posted a video, but that doesn't mean I haven't been working in the background. I've got probably 5 to 10 videos. They're just about finished, so I'm gonna try to post maybe even 2 videos a week for the next month or so. We'll see. We've got to get through a bunch of content that I've been working on for you all. So that being said, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and give this video a like. Turn on that notification bell. It's going to help you know when I post more stuff going forward. I've also got some exciting updates. There's a couple of companies that are maybe going to be coming on board. I've got more discount codes now than I ever have. They're all linked down below and they will help you save money on some of the big brands out there that you may really like. Also, a lot of Memorial Day sales have come to a close, and they won't be back till Labor Day or maybe even Black Friday at this point. So if you're trying to save some money on your build before summer, go check out those discount codes. Some to name would be Onyx Off-Road, so you know where you're going. I use Onyx Off-Road all the time. Go check them out. I've got a discount code for them. I've been working with them for a long time. I've got a discount code for C4, for Sherpa, and many others. So definitely go check those out. With that also being said, I want to give a shout out to LASFIT for sponsoring this video. They sent me these rock lights and I want to test them out. They're a nice budget item and I think that they could be a good option for one of your vehicles. So with that being said, let's jump right into unboxing these lights and then we'll get them installed out on the vehicle. All right, hey everybody. So today we're going to be doing this unboxing quick of these LASFIT rock lights. I think these are pretty sweet, and honestly, if you don't have the money to buy one of the fancier rock light brands out there, LASFIT has made great products. I've run a lot of their products in the past, and they're a great budget option in my opinion. There's certain things about them that I don't think are perfect, but I'm gonna kind of break that down in a little bit here, but I wanna do a quick unboxing. So these are their new off-road light packages. They come in packs of 4, but they actually are 8-pod sort of compatible, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I have the 8-pod setup. We're going to be installing this on my buddy's vehicle, and I really think that they are a great option for a lot of you out there that don't want to spend the money on a fancier rock light. I will say that you probably get what you pay for, so these aren't going to be as bright as the fanciest, most expensive rock lights on the market. But I really think they're a nice bang for your buck. So the packaging here is actually quite nice. They've got this all sort of separately packaged. We've got 4 rock lights here and then some accessories. Inside each of these, 2 are labeled front and 2 are labeled behind. The ones that are labeled behind, as far as I know, are going to be longer harnesses. So it's another really nice benefit of these. With the Harbor Freight ones, I had to make my own harness and it was a lot of work. These come with a harness, so that's going to save a lot of you a lot of time, and if you're not really into wiring, it's going to kind of do it for you. So, all right, so like I said, in one of these boxes, 4 lights are included. They got this whole long wiring harness, which has a 3-prong plug, and basically it's a red, a yellow, and a black for the amber, the white, and then the ground. We've also got this little rubber bumper here to help route the wire and mount this flush against something, wherever you're gonna route it. I also think this might help with vibration, so that's another bonus too. So we've got the 4 lights here. We'll set those aside for now. And then we have got the wiring harness and hardware that is included in this as well. So in my Harbor Freight video, rock lights video that I made, I mounted these up to little 3-inch right angle brackets. And that worked fairly well for the 4Runner. I'll show you where I mounted these on the 4Runner. So if you wanted to do an install on a 4Runner rather than my buddy's rig, then you definitely could do that. So what we have here is we have the full harness. So what we've got is this end here has 4 plugs for the 4 light kit, but it's actually got 8 connection points. So this will work with 8 lights. Right here is the switch that you would route into your dash. I'm going to show you how I cut this harness up to work with my Switch Pros or an aux beam or whatever your choice of switch system would be. These have really small gauge wires, which in my opinion probably means they're pretty low power draw. Let's see if they're, if this manual talks about their power draw. So it looks like maybe 1 input power is 6 watts per pod. If we do the math on that, that's probably 0.5 amps, 0.5 amps a piece. So if you have 8 pods at 0.5 amps a piece, then that's going to be 4 amps. So I'm probably going to hook this up to a 5 amp limited circuit. So the fuse on this will be 5 amps. Let's see what they've got underneath here. It's got a 10 amp fuse. Okay, well, if it's rated for 10, that's fine. I'm gonna put a 5 just to be safe because the diameter of this wire is so small and I don't wanna overheat the wire here and start melting any sort of plastic or cause a short of some kind. So we're gonna keep this at 5. If it keeps popping, then can change it to 10. Like I said, this is for the switch in your dash or wherever you want to put the switch. And then this is the negative and the positive terminals for your battery. Personally, I'm always not a fan of these harnesses that are included. I think that sometimes they're the failure point of these products. And like the light themselves can be pretty decent, but the harnesses aren't as good. So, because I got a 8-pod kit, I got 2 harnesses, which meant that I could cut one up with basically 0 negative effects. So that's what I did. So right here, I took this harness, and right where the harness ends for, you know, this sort of like 8-prong end, go through the middle of this, and then I came right into here and I just cut it. Because the switch and the power I don't care about because we're gonna have that all contained. So I just cut this right here, threw all that away. Because my plan is this harness right here, since this wire is fairly long, this can make it down to roughly somewhere in the middle of the vehicle. And then you can use on an 8-kit light, you can use 2 of those fronts, which have shorter wires, to get to the closer lights. So you'll have basically, you know, harness, 2 fronts, 2 fronts, 2 behinds, 2 behinds. You should have plenty of length. And then this we will hook up to the switch system. If I remember on switch systems correctly, basically the ground should be shared. So we'll need a switch for the red, a switch for the yellow, and hopefully they'll both share this ground. I'm not quite sure. I still need to double check this on the aux beam, but I think this should work just fine. On a Switch Pros, I'm not really worried about this setup. I think this should be perfect. So we've got everything sorted out here. I'm gonna take all of this over to the vehicle. We're gonna start finding spots to mount it up, and hopefully we can drill little holes through the plastic, use some of this hardware, or zip tie them in place or something to get it all set up. We've got roughly 15 to 20 zip ties included here, but I've got plenty of extra as well if we'll need it for routing the wires. All right, let's jump over to the vehicle. Let's start on this install. Okay, so the terminal to connect this stuff is all up here in the front of my engine bay. A lot of you might have one right over there, whatever works. So I'm gonna route a wire down through this space here, across and down for the front, and then down and down through here to get to the rest of the vehicle. So one spot that I use to mount rock lights is right here. You can see where my current Harbor Freight rock light is. There's a bolt right in here that's pretty handy to use. So that's where I mount to, and I've just got a little right angle bracket right here. So I'll hook up the new rock light at the end of this bracket with a couple washers and that bolt. Next place I went is just a couple bolts along the frame here. Nothing too crazy. Right next to the rock sliders, there's a bunch of bolts in here. And I just use those to put 2 rock lights under the rock sliders. And in the rear, given my high clearance editions, I didn't need these little brackets from the Low Pro anymore, so I use them on this factory threaded spot on the frame. So my plan is to mount the last rock light in the back right here. And then all those spots I just showed you, you can do on the other side. So it's pretty easy. All right, so we're out at the vehicle right now and just trying to figure out how to mount these up. And they've got these little rubber pieces that look to be ideal if you're going to mount this on like a, you know, metal bar of some kind. We'll try using these, but I think what we're gonna do is grab some drill bits and just drill holes and run all zip ties on all the corners of these, because on the underside of this vehicle it's primarily plastic. So with all these different pieces of plastic, it'll just be easier to mount to it with zip ties than
to actually use hardware.
So right away, you'll probably notice here that this light is angled, and that's just because this plastic seemed to bend in that way really naturally. Actually worked quite well because the light on these is kind of concentrated, so this was nice for aiming this light away. We routed both these wires kind of right along the frame so that you could keep it low. In the back here, next to kind of the rocker panels, there's this nice little cavity on the 2015 to like 2019 Subaru Outbacks. So this was a spot where we could put the light and then keep it out of the way so that something wouldn't catch on it. So here's just kind of a couple other spots where we found areas on the plastic where we could drill a couple holes to run the zip ties and then route the cable through and up and on top of that plastic. So routing all these wires is a little bit challenging, but here you can see that really that is sort of a low profile setup. And lastly, in the rear, we put these right on the plastic. It's a little lower hanging, but they project a lot farther onto the ground. And that was something we were really going for because when you're at camp, it's nice to really light up that back area by your tailgate. So here I just did a bit of a walk around kind of after the job was done. As you can see, the lights are a little bit more on the concentrated side, and you can do both lights at one time. So this is kind of the mixture of amber and white, or you can do the white like I just showed you at the very beginning, or you can do this amber color, which is kind of a yellowish orange. And yeah, the amber is really nice at night because it won't attract bugs near as badly. So it's nice that they give this option. And while the light is quite concentrated, maybe this would be improved a little bit by mounting them higher on a vehicle. But either way, they seem to be quite powerful here. So I'll just show you now a little clip of the 4Runner because then you can compare these to the Harbor Freight rock lights. The Harbor Freight rock lights were definitely not as bright, but they did throw a bit of a wider light. So it just kind of depends on what your preference would be here. Maybe if these were mounted up on a roof rack, they would project even wider than being sort of a rock light. So maybe using these LASFIT lights as scene lighting might be a nice way to go as well. So lastly, I just wanted to show you how we wired this up. I showed you the harness already, but we were able to just borrow the negative terminal for both wires on the aux beam. So it was really quick. You just pick two spots where you want to connect it. And then I used a 5 amp fuse for the red wire and a 5 amp fuse for the yellow wire. And yeah, seemed to be just fine. So I presume the 10 amp fuse is actually, if you were to run the yellow and the red simultaneously, that's going to pull a total of 10 amps. So here, running 5 amps and 5 amps, I think we're to the OEM specification, and hopefully this works out well. Worst case scenario, you can always change out those fuses for something larger, smaller. Feel free to customize this to your own setup. I'm not really giving a step-by-step here. I'm just showing you what we have done for this particular electrical setup. Well, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Like I've said before, I don't really think that these lights are necessarily good or bad. They're just hard to compare to some of the higher end lights on the market. They have some pros and cons, and they've also got some of these extra features. And so while I don't think they're the perfect product, I think they're a really great value product out there. And if you're looking for something that's more affordable and very DIY friendly, I think these are a great option. Having all these harnesses come with is really nice. As with any rock light project, you know, routing all the wires and doing the cable management is going to be a little bit of a chore, but that's just kind of the name of the game. It's not going to change regarding the products. And so the fact that all of these have these quick and easy disconnects for replacing lights if one were to ever go bad, or just routing all of the wiring without needing to do any sort of custom work really, is a really nice feature of these lights. So that's kind of my thoughts for this. Let me know what you think down below if you've got any questions. As always, I appreciate all of your support, and I will catch you all in the next video.